Live on YouTube. Yeah. இந்த செல்வாய் இங்க எல்லாம் ஆன் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கீங்க வீடியோவை.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again. We will start in a few minutes. There are people left to join. Just
Welcome, Billy. Billy is also joined us now. Mr. Billy, can you hear us?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I think I was being talked to. Yeah, let me see if you can see me as well. Can you see me?
Yes.
Hello,
Mr.
I can
Billy.
see Diana. Hello, everyone.
hello.
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 Hi.
Excellent. I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation. So it's very exciting for me to be here, and let me know. I think I'm here in the room, so we can see each other, we can hear each other. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you
Okay.
for joining us.
Thanks,
Thank you
Billy.
for
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm Edna. Before we begin this conversation this evening, I would like to bring to your attention a few things that will make this online program seamless and a pleasant experience for all of us. During presentations, to avoid technical difficulties, please mute your microphone. For queries or comments, please use the chat box or the raise hand option. Also, for technical support, you can message us in the chat box. To see the presentation in full screen, we recommend the side-by-side option. This meeting is being recorded to be used for further reference as study material. We are also live streaming on YouTube, and the link will be put in the chat box. This is our agenda for the day. We begin at 6:30 and then we welcome and the intro to the webinar series. Then we introduce 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗲 and our core team. At 6:35, we start introducing the two partners. At 6:40, we introduce our speaker. And 6:45, our session begins.
Hello once again. Welcome to Kickstart, the online launch of the webinar series of 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲𝗲. This is a 12-part series which will pan out once every month. An interaction of young people with experts and advocates of change from around the globe, focusing on social development. This is a brainchild of 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲, supported and initiated by the Fourth Wave Foundation. Now, what is 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲? Short form for 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 Engage. Like all of us young people around the world, we would like to ask questions about a lot of things and find our own answers. 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 is a platform where we seek to ask the right questions as to why I need to engage with the world around me. Article 12 to 17 and Article 31 of the United Nations Conventions of the Rights of the Child are referred to as participation rights of the UNCRC. These rights are considered the most revolutionary in the UNCRC because they challenge traditional and typical ways of childhood. UNCRC clearly gives us the right to participate in matters that concern our future. Children have the right to freely express their views on all matters and decisions that affect them, and to have those views taken into account at all levels of society. It is the right of every child without exception. Therefore, 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 is a platform for teens and young adults to engage through conversations, ideations, discussions with experts from the fields of social development. We foresee this as an open space to explore opportunities for working together on matters that shape our world.
We are a group of energetic and proactive teenagers who are ready to make a change in how things are looked at. We aim for these sessions to be a platform where teenagers come together and discuss issues that influence us as a generation and as people. Through this platform, we wish to motivate our contemporaries to come together and be involved in matters that will influence others to understand the problems we face around the world, some of which could exist even without their knowledge.
To introduce our core team, we begin with myself. Hi, I'm 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲𝗲, short for Mikhail, a 17-year-old who loves movies and anything that runs with an engine.
Hey, I'm Edna, a 16-year-old who loves reading and music.
Hi, I'm Zara, a 15-year-old who loves beats and debating about anything that requires change.
Hey, I'm Manya AK, a 13-year-old who wants to make the world a better place.
Team 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲𝗲 is an opportunity created by Fourth Wave Foundation in partnership with iSCAN to bring like-minded youngsters together and participate in social good. It offers us support to ideate, work, create, understand, and take proactive steps to bring young adults to discuss and work around solutions for a brighter tomorrow. The team will now introduce the two organizations and the people behind it who believe in the power of youngsters to shape society.
Fourth Wave Foundation India. The Fourth Wave Foundation exists to catalyze social change by innovating and piloting model solutions that governments and implementing agencies can replicate using technical knowledge, in-depth understanding of the challenges, and unique insights gleaned from almost 2 decades of dedicated social development work.
Vienna, iSCAN Vienna, the International Security and Conflict Analysis Network, iSCAN, was founded in Vienna in 2018 to respond to the increasing number of challenges of today's global conflicts. Through its capacity building programs, iSCAN provides a platform for systemic analysis of international security challenges through human security lenses and for the development of strategies for impactful interventions.
Introducing Fourth Wave Foundation's Diana Joseph. Diana Joseph has more than 15 years of experience in working with international organizations, including UNESCO, was an invited speaker at the United Nations General Assembly on Congressional on Narcotics and Drugs held at Vienna in September 2018. Diana is a founding director of Fourth Wave Foundation.
From iSCAN, we have Mr. 𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗲𝗲, Drug and Crime Prevention Program Officer, UNODC. Mr. 𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗴𝗲 is a program officer at the UNODC, responsible for the civil society team's work related to the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, the Commission on Narcotics, Drugs, and the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. He is the founder of United for Education and Sustainable Futures, UESF, whose flagship project is Youth Education Ambassadors, YEA. He is also the co-founder of the Regional Academy on the United Nations, RAUN, founder of International Security and Conflict Analysis Network, iSCAN, a visiting lecturer of international conflicts and development, and a certified trainer in international security. Billy is currently pursuing his PhD research with a focus on institutional cooperation of the United Nations agencies. In his spare time, Billy works to educate and empower young people and advocates for better human rights, equitable and sustainable development. Now over to you, Diana.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to see all of you anchor this, post this. It's a lot of work which has happened in the background by a few youngsters whose parents and families did come forward to Fourth Wave Foundation asking if they could be involved together on something that was socially and socially engaging and kind of constructive at their age. And thanks to all the parents and thanks to the families who've been behind this as well, that we are raising kids who are aware and raising kids who care for things that happen around the world. So it's an excitement for Fourth Wave Foundation. And as we speak, there are a lot of youngsters who've shown interest. And I think over time, this base will multiply, this group will grow. And this vision will sort of reach a space where I think youngsters can come together, work, engage, meet, travel, and I think create change. So we are happy to be a platform that's engaging with you all, and congrats for this first kickoff. We're wishing the 12 webinars all the success, and we hope we'll be able to bring in the right speakers and create momentum around the desire for you all to work together towards change. Having said that, Billy, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's a full-fledged working day at the UN for you, and we're just happy that you're making time because it lines into your vision of working with youngsters and creating change. And what you do has been such an inspiration for us at Fourth Wave Foundation as well. And we really look up to the kind of work that you do in engaging with youngsters. A little bit about Billy informally. Billy has been with us for the last 2-3 years, closely working on our Project 𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗲. Project 𝗲𝗲𝗴𝗲 is a project that works in Kerala to curb the problem of narcotics and drugs and safeguard kids from the menace of drugs. And in 2019, Billy was kind enough to come to inaugurate one of our conferences called the Asia Regional Forum Against Drugs, where we had around 30 countries coming together, Asian countries that came together to prepare 5-year plans in working together to keep children safe with substance abuse-free environment at 𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗲, and Billy was with us. It's from then that actually this whole discussion on what we could do together and how we can work together and kind of bring in voices early on as youngsters to be with us. So Billy, I'm really, really thankful for your joining us this evening. And a little bit about Billy. Billy is the only person that I've heard or met from the wonderful place called Rwanda. And he's also one of those people at the UN that I look out for when I reach there, because it's a place where you don't know, it's like an ocean of people and you need to see some familiar faces to keep yourself acquainted. And Billy is one of those faces that I look out for. And all those informal conversations with him, his team has been very encouraging for us at Fourth Wave. While we say Fourth Wave, though we come from the country of India, our projects are way set in rural areas, godforsaken places, back of the boondocks where nobody knows, and people sometimes don't even place Kerala or Karnataka on the map while they know what India is. So Billy is one of those people who came all the way and spent time with us. He even went down to the field. He went to the places where we have serious issues in the Ernakulam. He spent a day with the youngsters. He played football by the beach. He got wet in the sea. So I clearly see the energy that comes and the partnership that we will have together. So thanks, Billy. And I hand it over to the team today to introduce you and have a time of interaction between you and them. Keeping it informal, keeping it a learning space, more motivational space where children find a reason to connect and work together. So all the best to the team, and thanks to Billy.
Thank you, and thank you once again, Billy, for joining us. We have a set of questions that the team will ask you. So the first question, Billy, can you please let us know a little more about yourself and about Rwanda?
Thank you so much, Edna. I mean, I probably would have wanted just to make a speech before I answer your questions, but I know we don't have time for that. So thank you so much to you, Edna, Mika, and Zaha, and Manya for all of those wonderful words and how you kicked off this very, very important conversation. And thanks so much, of course, to you, Diana and Dashan, for your work leading this, and Fourth Wave Foundation. The important work that you are doing is incredible. So, I mean, for me, of course, I think this is one of my comfort zones. I think was it? Let's see. I think it was Edna who said that in my free time I enjoy empowering young people. I probably just, I wish to quit my job and just do that on a daily basis, because I think that's probably the best job that I could do. I really do enjoy that when I do this, because I see the energy, especially when you see the energy coming out of the young people, especially when you see the hope in young people when they engage and when they care, and when they're interested and curious and dare to do something for themselves. That's, I think, where I feel most comfortable, because that also gives me the energy and the hope for the future, because you are the future, right? We know that, and one of the things that I of course, we always say that you are the future, but sometimes I stop for a few seconds and say, actually, you are the present, because we always talk about the future, and we will be talking about the future in 5 years. And I think it's worth mentioning the role and recognizing the role that you have now in the present, and the importance of your contributions and your engagement now, right? Which will of course help us in the future, for sure, also your own future. So thank you so much for having me here. It's a really pleasure for me also to know that this is being led, conceptualized, kind of put together and led by young people, because I think you then own this process. It's extremely, extremely important to seeing that. So really well done to you, and I look forward to contributing to this as much as I can. So to your question, Edna, about a little bit about myself and where I come from. Yes, indeed, my name is Billy. I come from Rwanda, which is a very tiny country. I mean, when you think about India and you think about Rwanda, there's no comparison. There's no comparison whatsoever. Maybe the only thing that connects us is just me and you guys. So very tiny country in Central Africa. A beautiful country. Actually, Rwanda is called a country of 1,000 hills. Did you know that? A country of 1,000 hills. That is the nickname of Rwanda, and the reason of that is that it's a mountainous, hilly country with a lot of nature, a lot of forest. A lot of people, when they think about Africa, they think this is a very hot continent. India is quite warm in the summer, I know. And but people think it's very hot in Rwanda. Actually, our temperature are very, very nice. I mean, we never reached the temperatures of 30 degrees. So a beautiful country. Unfortunately, of course, which went through some challenges in the past, and some of you might already know. And as part of that response, actually, just wanted to ask you, youngsters, because I think you are so connected, you know, so many stuff because of the interconnectedness and the connections you have on the internet. What do you know about Rwanda? I think you probably know a lot of stuff now about Rwanda than I do. Does any one of you have any idea about anything about Rwanda that they would like to share? Something you might have come across, something you read? Anyone?
I've heard that Rwanda has gone through a civil war, and yeah. Okay,
you heard of the civil war. That's absolutely correct. And I see someone else wrote something. Is it? Yeah, is the cleanest, one of the cleanest countries, right? Yeah, right. That's that's one of the cleanest country in the world at this particular point. So. Edna, yes, absolutely. We went through a horrific, let's say, civil war experience in 1990s until 1994. That's one of my identity, basically. So I myself, I was your age. Somebody said they were 14. I think it was Mania, right? 14 or something like that. I was 13 when 13. I left Rwanda. Right, you are 13. Okay. So when I was 13, when I was your age, I had to leave my country because there was a civil war. That's basically how I left my country at your age. So we have that in common. And when I left my country, of course, as a refugee, I lived in a DRC in a refugee camp, and that's the first time I actually encountered the United Nations. So ever did I know that I become a staff of the UN, that I work for the UN, when I met my UN colleagues who were helping me in a refugee camp at that time. So I will talk a little bit more about that, but basically, you know, I'm one of those youngsters like you who was also very much aspiring to do more and to make a change in the world, with a lot of difficulties, of course, because of the situation that I was faced with. But I think, like you, I really believed that there was something that I could do if I could just stay on and keep going. And I was not fortunate as you are to just be in a country with relative peace to connect with other young people like this one. So you really have a lot of opportunities here to do more. But yeah, in the end, here I am. I managed to go through many difficult challenges, and now I work for the United Nations here in Vienna. And I have no doubt that any one of you, if you want to do that, you could achieve the same things as well. Because if a refugee like myself could do that, I think you can do it all the way from India. You know, I think you have basically everything that I did not have at that time, and I made it, so I think you can make it as well. Edna, that's a long answer to a short question, but please, over to you back.
Thank you, Billy. We would like to know about your educational pursuits and experiences with other interest areas.
Thank you so much, Mania. I mean, for me, of course, I guess you want to know what I studied, but of course, I understand education in a much broader sense. You know, one of my teaching moments is where I got probably the most education is really when I was in refugee camps. You know, not having opportunities to go to school, but still trying my best to find a book and to find somebody to study with. Maybe spend a day or a few days in a school of a Roman Catholic church, just for me to find some kind of refuge and really to find a safe space. Because for us, for you as children, as youngsters, for me back then, as I was your age, what was most important for me was to find a space where I can feel safe and I can be a child, I can be a teenager. So I learned quite a lot as a refugee back then, and I mentioned that because in the end, what I decided to study, I studied diplomatic studies in my bachelor degree, and then I studied international security in my master's. So all of those choices that I made in my university studies basically were very much informed by my education as a refugee, my experience in refugee camps, knowing the situation in my country, the difficulties and the impact of war and conflict. That informed my decisions to study diplomatic studies and international security. And of course, for me then, I did not study human rights, but I think these are issues that are very much connected to the things that I have studied, that I care very much about, including the rights of children, of course, especially children in conflict zones, or in communities where a lot of children really face a lot of challenges with regards to ensuring their human rights. So I always wanted to be an IT expert. Like some of you, you're probably already IT experts without having studied IT. But I remember at that time, those of you who know a little bit about information technology, you would know, if you read about it, because you wouldn't know, you were not there at that time, that we were programming computers. Basically, you had to write codes all the time. People still write codes, but the codes we were writing at that time using a program called Visual Basics. Like no one hears about Visual Basics these days, but that's what we were using at that time. And I really was very much interested in that because of the power I thought that gives you as a programmer to do things, even to do very good things. So that's at least about my education and my interest. And I have to say, though, that you might think that, okay, he studied diplomacy and he studied international security, so that's why he's working at the UN, right? That's not true. That is not true at all. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you study. I mean, whether you love biology or mathematics or information technologies, you do not have to choose a study because a particular study in order to get into the UN. There's nothing that the UN does not do, basically. So whatever you study, you can always make it in the UN as well. Yeah, another very long answer to a very short question.
Thanks a lot, Billy. Can you please tell us about your job with the UN and some interesting facts about your work?
Sorry, could you repeat that question again, Sarah?
Sure, I could. Could you please tell us about your job with the UN and some interesting facts about your work, please?
Interesting facts about my work. As I said, I would like to quit my work and just do this. So I'm not sure if I give you a very interesting fact about my work. I have to say I'm one of the lucky people who works at the UN. Usually, and this happened also when I started. When I started at the UN, I started as a consultant at the UN, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. At that time, I was focusing more on crime, on drug prevention. So the idea that, of course, as you well know, 𝗲𝗴𝗴𝗲 Foundation works very, very much on that. The issue of drugs is a major issue, especially also amongst young people. And we, as UNODC, we do a lot of work, including projects, to making sure that there are programs in place to keep youngsters outside, from drugs. But not only youngsters, there are issues of access and treatment and so on and so forth. So I started there, and then I moved on as a program officer, working on transnational organized crime issues. And this is where I felt more comfortable because, again, of my, let's say, my my academic background, but also I think my interest in more issues really directly connected to peace and security, right? So I feel, I have to say, I feel more comfortable now when we deal with issues related to smuggling of migrants. You know, we have a lot of projects where we try to make sure that we fight smuggling of migrants, trafficking in persons. You might know that this is one of the issues also that affect a lot of young people and a lot of young girls especially, right? So this is a topic that is actually of very, very much of interest as well to you. And I know this to be an issue as well in India, in many countries, in fact. But India is one of those countries affected, of course. And my job is to making sure that we can provide assistance to member states, to countries to fight these crimes, but also to come up with projects like educational projects, also to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to understanding the aspects of crime and how to fight them in their communities. So the interesting fact, I guess, is simply because I think that I'm making a difference, right? Even if it's in a life of one person so far away that I cannot even see. When I think about it, and I know that my work, my hard work, really can make a difference even in one person's life. That's something that let's say wakes me up every morning. You know, to say I have to do more. I have to do more if I can make a difference in someone else's life. So I think that's a very interesting fact, and I really wish, Zara, that when you grow up, you will have that feeling as well. Because I think this one thing is to, I don't know, have a good job and earn a lot of money. The other, I think, is to be satisfied and to be happy with what you are doing. And I think that the latter is the most important one, right? It would be great, of course, if you can be happy and satisfied and have a good salary. That would be the ideal case scenario. And, you know, some of us are fortunate perhaps to have both of that. But I think really, when you have that feeling, and I hope that you will have it when you grow up and you start working, that is an amazing feeling. Hopefully we will meet again and you will tell me how that feels to you. Okay, can we make that deal?
For sure we can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Billy. We have heard from Diana about your answer when people pose the question about Rwanda and the UN. Can you please share it here with us?
Sorry, can you, Manya, could you repeat that again, please?
Yes. We have heard from Diana about your answer when people pose the question about Rwanda and the UN. Can you please share it here with us?
So my thoughts about the UN and Rwanda? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. So, I mean, first of all, I think, you know, I'm almost hesitant to answer that question, at least a question of the UN. I'm almost thinking that I need to ask you that question. First of all, even if you could give it a go, Manya, first, because you asked me the question, you know, what do you think the UN is? You know, what is it that you know about the UN?
It's a place that there are many opportunities, different kind of opportunities.
All right. Like what?
Like good job opportunities. Like even in India there are good job opportunities, but in the US you get like better ones.
All right. Okay. I think I agree with you on that for sure. There are a lot of wonderful opportunities, like I mentioned to Zahra, that you know, the mission of the organization is a wonderful mission. It's a mission to make a difference in people's lives, to resolve conflicts, to bring peace in the world, and to ensure human rights around the world, to making sure that people can be elevated from poverty. You know, really, it's a noble mission. It's a noble mission. So the UN, as you correctly say, it has a lot of opportunities. It has, of course, a lot of challenges as well. But when it was founded back in 1945, basically, you might know already that it was at the end of World War II. You know, there were a lot of insecurities around the world. And the idea was, how can countries come together and form a platform where those issues can be discussed, and making sure that everyone in the world is safe and secure, right? That was the main purpose back then. It has evolved over time. I mean, now we talk about sustainable development goals, which is basically everything. You know about sustainable development goals, right? How many goals do we have in there? Does anybody know? Sustainable development goals? How many?
16.
Mika?
Yeah, is it about 16 or 18?
16 or?
18.
17.
Yeah, somewhere between 16 and 18.
17, yeah.
That's the number. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So between 16 and 17, sorry, and 18. So that makes it 17. Exactly. And within all those 17, basically, you can find issues related to education for you here, which is very important. Gender equality, or you know, human rights, and you know, everything around that. And of course, we deal also with issues, as I mentioned, for example, of drug prevention, organized crime, cybercrime is another issue that we deal with at the UN. So the UN is really a platform for governments to come together and discuss, but also not recently, also at the same time, organizations such as 𝗲HIV Foundation, for example. I mean, the UN would not exist and would not function without civil society, basically. Because a lot of, when we talk about countries making policies at the UN, what that means is that we need to make sure that those policies are translated into actions. For example, providing schools to young people. That happens at the country level. So, for example, in India, or ensuring human rights, that has to happen at the country level. For example, in India or Rwanda, for example. And there are organizations such as 𝗲HIV Foundation and other civil society organizations play an important role. There's a connection between the UN and Rwanda, as you might know, Manya, perhaps, right? So back then, when we had the conflict in 1990, started in 1990, usually one of the, as I mentioned, one of the main roles for the UN is to ensure peace and security around the world. That means when wars break up, the UN should find a solution and intervene and stop those wars. So what happened in Rwanda at that time was that action was not taken by the UN. And then, okay, I'm sure now in your mind you're thinking, no, now I don't like the UN anymore. Why didn't they do their job? The UN is a very, very complicated organization. I mean, we have 194 member states. And all these member states, they have to agree when something is to be done, especially when it comes to intervening in conflicts. We have 5 countries that have a lot of powers within the UN that have to say, yes, let's go intervene in Rwanda. Yes, let's go intervene in Syria. Otherwise, if they don't say yes, then no action will take place. So that actually, unfortunately, happened in 1990 and towards 1994 in Rwanda. Those countries did not agree to send support to Rwanda at that time. So therefore, that's a connection that is not a positive connection between the UN and Rwanda. And I'm sure you read about it. You will read about it and understand a bit more. But yeah, that's what I would say, kind of a connection between the UN and the Rwanda this time. Now it's much better, of course, but what happened back then happened, right? So let's say that the damage was done. Now we're kind of trying to making sure that it doesn't happen in other countries. We're not very, I guess, successful, but again, there are a lot of challenges that that lead to that lack of decisions, for example. Yeah, another long answer. Goodness, why am I giving too many long answers?
Thank you, Billy. So, why do you think teens should be socially aware? And can you tell us a little about the UN and the importance of teen participation in it?
You mean, why should young people care? Is that what you say?
Be socially aware, yeah.
Be socially aware. Mika, I mean, let me answer a question with another question. do you know? I mean, the population of the world, the global population now is about what, 7 billion plus, 7+ billion, right? Do you know what is the portion of young people of those 7 billion? Mika, anyone?
About 40%.
Sorry?
About 40% of the population.
40%? That's quite high. That's a little too high.
Okay.
Anybody has an answer?
20%?
20%, a little high as well. I mean, you guys are very important, and you are quite many, but you're not that many. You are between 1.2 and 1.8 billion. So that takes you around to 13%, around 13 to perhaps 15% of the world population. Now, the interesting number of that particular statistic is that 90% of that number is made of young people in developing countries. Is India a developing country? Right. Okay. So you make part of you are part of the 90% of the 1.8 billion. That's a huge number. That's a huge number. And that's why when Diana came to me and said, Billy, I would like you to be part of this process as led by young people, I was like, count me in, because you're among the 90% of 1.7 billion, basically. That means the world is basically going to be depending on you in the future. What is happening today affects you more, right? Because I'm not too old, but basically I'm on my way out at some point. You guys are kind of still coming in. That means you will have to leave the consequences of whatever that is happening, right? So, Mika, when you ask me why should young people socially care, I think you have your answer there, basically, because it's in your own interest to care, and basically because you're most affected by everything that is socially unjust, for example, right? So you have to take it on yourself, basically, and ask questions and ask for accountability from your governments, from your parents, from your communities, from everyone basically around you. So I think that's why you should absolutely care. And the UN is doing its part, I think, to really making sure that we engage young people. There are all kinds of stuff that we are doing in here. We have a youth strategy. I mean, Google UN Youth Strategy 2030. You will find that it's a complete strategy for the UN that lays out how to bring young people to the table, how to making sure that they have access to education, how to make sure that they participate at the local level, encouraging governments to open space in the discussions that actually affect young people. And there's a very important resolution that was passed in 2015 for the first time in a UN history, which is, I think it's resolution 2050. So if you Google resolution 2050, I know you know how to find that. You can find that faster than me for sure. 2050 on youth, peace, and security. That is a resolution that basically gives you, let's say, the mandate to go and ask questions. You know, first of all, to know what it is what are your rights at the government level, and then what are your avenues to go and demand that those rights are provided to you. So that's something that you should certainly look up to. And of course, we do quite a lot on as I mentioned, on drug prevention, but also on countering organized crime. We have a lot of projects also that involve young people. So there's a whole avenue of opportunities within the UN to engage young people, and we're doing that as much as we can. And we always benefit when young people are proactive. So when you come to us, we're not very. I think we should do better. We're not very good at finding out what are the real issues. And so we have a lot of opportunities to address those issues, but we're not very good at identifying them because sometimes there's just too much going on. You know, we have so much going on. So when you're proactive, for example, and you say, you know, Billy, I have this idea. What do you think about it? You know, I can easily find a solution to that idea, right? And a lot of times the means that we need to help you and to make a difference, to help you make a difference, is for us is a very tiny contribution, but for you it's a major it's a major opportunity, right? So when you're proactive like this, you're actually helping us to do our job. That's why I was saying I should just quit and just do this, because my job will be made a little bit easier. So I thank you so much for that.
Thanks a lot, Billy. On similar lines, what is your advice to us at SOI? What do you envision for SOI and to associate with youth from across the world?
Right. So let me just remind myself about your vision, basically, as I understand it. And there's this kind of almost like a question mark in your own name, the group of your names. So why I engage? And I was thinking about it. I was thinking, okay, are they asking me why they engage, or they're asking themselves why they engage? Okay, maybe somebody will have to explain to me that. But your vision basically is to engage through conversation, ideation, and discussion with experts. And that is the first one. And then the second one is an open space to explore opportunities for working together on matters that shape our world. You know, I mean, that's a very impressive, I think, vision and objective. And I think, to be honest, I think that also shows how deep you care about this, and what you want to get out of this. Because the things that shape our world are many. You know, there are many things that actually shape our world. Because, you know, there are a lot of opportunities in our world, but there are a lot of challenges as well. So I think, to be quite honest, I think it's not very often that you see platforms like this, because a lot of youngsters, they have a lot of other distractions. There's so much going on out there that just distract them, and they don't do important work like this one. So first of all, I really commend you for having made this step. That's the first thing. And I would like to just advise you to stay the course. I think you need to, moving forward, you need to identify, perhaps as you continue your discussions, to identify some of the areas or key issues that you are very interested in as youngsters. Perhaps you want to engage on issues related to education for young people, for young girls, for a particular community, right? Dig deep into that and have a conversation around that, and have a discussion around that, so that you can get ideas that allow you to do something. Because in the end, I really hope, I really hope that in the end, you want to do something, right? You don't just want to have a conversation and a discussion with experts. You want to gain from those conversations and those discussions, to gain information and knowledge and ideas, so that you can do something. I hope that is the end goal. So if that is the end goal, then I think you might want to consider focusing your discussions on some of the key issues you as a group are interested in pursuing in the future. And then systematically find a way to discussing that, and discover, perhaps you can do your own research to understanding that, and then kind of to take you from where you are now, and by the end of the year, when you finish with these discussions, you probably then have some kind of a concept of what to do next, right? More practically, not, you can continue the discussion on a different topic, but perhaps by the end of the year to already have an idea of what you can do on certain topics based on the conversations you have had with the experts. I really hope that you will be able to do that, and I know that you can do it. Usually the start is the most difficult part, and now you have already started. So basically, you cannot go back. Forget it. You know, you cannot go back. There's no way back. There's no turning back right now. You have to see this through, and I hope when you do that, you can get something more specific out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Billy. Now that you mentioned that you were hoping to speak in the beginning before the questions, I am kind of curious, I think all of us are. So if there is anything you had planned to share with us in the beginning before the questions, please do share now.
From my side?
Yes, like because you were telling in the beginning you were planning to speak before the questions, so we're just curious for because.
Sorry, I'm not hearing properly what the I cannot even see the speaker actually.
Oh, okay. I think. Can you see me now?
Hey, hi Darshan.
Yes, hi. Yes. No, since you're telling in the beginning that you are planning on speaking before the questions, we're just curious to know that what it was you wanted to speak about.
All right. I think in the end, I combine everything in answering my questions. Answering the questions from the youngsters. I think I said quite a lot. I mean, what I can really emphasize is that I think it's very, very encouraging to see a group like this coming together. I see already, I don't know, 34 people on this particular call. And I'm not sure whether you all know each other or whether you are all from the same schools and so on and so forth. But I think one of the things that I've got to appreciate and really to benefit from is network, is creating a network. And I know all of you are on Facebook or on Instagram and all of that, right? I'm sure. Who's not? Who's not on social media? Manya, you're not yet. Edna, you're not yet, right? I don't see many other hands. So a lot of you are on social media, and that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. As long as your parents allow you to be on social media, that's fine. The point I'm making is that these kind of networks, this network that you have now, is a very important network. You're brought together by a cause, right? And you're pursuing this cause together. And it's very important to maintain that network and to nurture that relationship that you have. Who knows where all of you are going to end up? Some of you are going to end up in governments, others are going to end up in a private sector, others are going to end up in NGOs. And I learned that you have to have a network in all those areas if you want to make an impact. You know, so you have to be able to reach out to someone in the private sector. For example, in the work that I do, I need a lot of private sector quite often because, you know, when we talk about trafficking in persons, you know, companies are very much involved and technological companies can provide solutions. So I need to be able to reach out to those people. In the government, if I need funding for my project or I need to negotiate something, I need to be able to reach to the right person in a government. So in a civil society community, the same. I can tell you, for example, that during the pandemic, during the lockdown, we were not able to collect information about the work, about the problematics of the work that we do. We could not have managed to do that without civil society organizations on the ground. So the point is, create networks and maintain those networks. Create relationships and maintain those relationships. It's extremely, extremely important. And be careful. Be careful what kind of networks you connect yourself with. There are a lot of networks out there. They have all kinds of great stuff that might distract you from important work. So you have to choose wisely. You know, your networks and the people that you spend your time, you basically give your time to. That's extremely important. You never get that time back. You know, you spend it today, you cannot go back tomorrow and say, you know, I borrowed you my time yesterday, I need it back. It doesn't work like that. So you really have to choose wisely. And I think you are on the right path. Here you are already. That's already a good sign. And I really hope that you keep that up. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
All
Billy.
right.
Okay, now we open the platform for questions from those participating. So you can use the raise hand option and we will unmute you, or you can also type your questions in the chat box and we will read them out and Billy can answer. Also, before we conclude this evening's conversations, I would like to bring to your attention of the link that's posted in the chat. Kindly click on it and fill out a very simple Google form with your details so that we can update you about the next webinar and the events that SOI will be conducting in order to bring young people together. So if there are any questions, please do ask.
No questions. I will have a question.
Sure, Billy, you can ask.
Yeah. How many of you would like to work at the UN? You already know. Edna already knows. Zara already knows. Mika already knows. Let me see. Okay, others are not on camera. Okay. All right. Do you know when you say, Manya as well, when you say you would like to work for the UN, do you actually know why? Why is this? It's just a feeling?
No, I
Mika,
feel
I
like
think
the
you're
UN
mute.
has. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm not the moderator here, so
Zara, you were saying, you can continue, Zara.
Okay, sorry. So what I was saying was UN is such a big body that is represented all over the world, and it has so much power to make changes, like the smallest changes that could affect so many lives. So that's one of the reasons why I would like to be part of the UN, maybe in the future, not in whatever ways I can to help society, to help girls or to help people all over the world who don't have the voice to speak out, don't have the power to speak up, to help them with overcoming their challenges that they face. And I feel like that is something I would like to do if I get the chance to be involved.
I was on mute. Okay. Zara, how old are you again?
I'm 15.
You're 15.
Yes.
I think that's a really a good way to describe why you want to get into the UN, because I think one of the challenges that we have in the UN is that people get in because I would like to have security, you know, I'd like to have a good salary, nice benefits, and so on and so forth. Not necessarily having the value of the organization. You know, I think you have to be able to identify yourself with the values of the organization in order to make a successful UN career, even to make an impression. To be honest, when I'm interviewing people to work with me at the UN, I'm not just looking at the CV. The CV tells me just tells me a little bit about what you've done, where you've studied, although the university doesn't really matter, to be quite honest. But when your CV is interesting to me, I need to speak to you and to really understand who you are as a person. And usually those values, they come out in an interview. We have a set of questions that help us to understand whether you really have the values of the organization, right? So that's extremely important. So, and one of the things that we're always looking for in a UN, as you know, is experience, right? We're like, okay, even for an entry level position, we're thinking, oh, okay, you have to have 2 years of experience, at least 3 years of working experience. So what I can say about this particular group is that you're already 15, Zara, and you're already doing something. Basically, you're already doing something. You will not finish university until you are like 18, right? You will not start university until you are 18 or something like that. And then you have 3 more years until you are 21 to be able to qualify to have an internship at the UN, right? So that is like, what is it, 6 years from now? 6 years from now, and you've already started working. So don't forget that you're already working basically right now. You know, it's not child labor. No, it's not child labor. But you are working. You are gaining experience towards that end goal, which is to join the UN. But keep in mind that every time, maybe have working for the UN as an end goal, right? As an ideal, as an optimal goal for you. But don't make it the only goal. Don't make it the only goal. You know, Fourth Wave Foundation is a great organization to gain experience from, and you are already doing that. So do that as much as you can. Wherever you can find the opportunity, do that. And already kind of, there are a lot of things that people don't actually think about when they are gaining job experience. You go here, for example, you start as an informatics. You do that for 6 months, and then you go, you study, you are a mathematician somewhere. You do it for 6 months, and then you go and you are a librarian somewhere for another 6 months. I mean, these are working experience, but I cannot make sense of this when I'm hiring you. You know, it's difficult. If you want to gain experience, you say, okay, I'm interested in education. Okay, you go and teach, you go and do work in an education NGO and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, you have 2 years of experience when you are qualified for an internship in education. So there are a lot of jobs around that. And if I'm looking for someone with 2 years of experience in education, I got you already, right? But if I see that you have a librarian half a year, and then it doesn't really fit. So that's why I said you have to really choose very early what is interesting for you, and you really try to pursue that interest at the early age, as early as you can. Yes? Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Wow, Billy. I'm just excited for the kids. It's just, I think they're excited seeing somebody from the UN. Probably all of the questions are revolving around the UN. And I'm hoping the next 12 sections or whatever they plan will clearly go into the other issues. And I think SDG is a good place to start with. In fact, they've lined up a few in terms of, you know, even issues like right to food. They don't understand what hunger is, what hunger around the world means, things like that. So to be able to expose issues like that, kids coming from backgrounds like this might not really know what trafficking does to lives, or, you know, so we have a list of things that Fourth Wave will direct them and orient them into. And I'm hoping with you at the helm, we'll get the right people to discuss all this, people who really work in the space. Just that it was all around UN, and I'm just happy. It's okay. The kids are all excited seeing you. So I'm also glad that they are getting oriented. Good questions by you, Bibi. So that is put them in perspective beyond, you know, just the UN or the career or whatever it is. But I think they've come together with a noble idea. I think they also have wonderful families where there is a lot of support, a lot of encouragement, kind of looking at the best interest of the child, wanting to, you know, put them in spaces where it really encourages their life choices. So with that, I am just glad that we both will be able to do something for them. I know this group is going to grow, and I have a wonderful team back at Fourth Wave Foundation that really is working with them right now. So let's see where this heads. And like you said, I think the biggest takeaway for me today is that I'm hoping that they stay the course, that they really stay the course and they actually do the 12 months together as a team. That's going to be the tough part. To wither and fall is easy, but to keep going at it is what we want youngsters to do. So yeah, I'll give it back to you. I just had to add this. I'm sorry I butt in and I had to say this to Billy. Thank you.
Maybe we can make a pact here, you know? I think I really like this group, and hopefully this group likes me too. We can have a pact here. Can we meet can we meet in December? Like, can you invite me back to the last session, and we do this together again? We look back where we started and see where we're going. Is that something we can do?
Definitely, yes.
Yes,
Oh, how
Yes.
sweet of you.
and kind of
Yes.
really,
Yes.
you know, all of you. That's what I meant. All of you who are here today. Maybe you will have even more by then, but certainly all of you who are here to stay the course, and then we see each other in December, and we reflect and look back and see where you are, and then you tell me whether there's anything that I can do to help you moving forward to that other level that we say, right? It's not just about discussion and dialogue, but it's also about the action. So when we meet in December, hopefully you can tell me what you have in mind as a concrete action that you want to take, and then you can tell me, and I will see what it is that I can do to help you reach that. Would that be would that be a good pact to make right now?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Diana, you are the witness of this pact.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is the best way for me then to really end my my conversation with you with that kind of pact and agreement. I'm very excited for you, and I think I can say that when we're looking for people, we're looking for people like you. Really, you have to remember that we're looking for people like you who can initiate and stay the course and really reach something that they set themselves to achieve. So thank you so much for having me and for giving me this opportunity to interact with you and to be with you today, to start this with you, and hopefully we will finish it together. Thank you so much.
Okay, just as a preview to our next webinar, which will be in the month of August, exact date will be notified very soon. Our topic will be the teen and young adults' engagement with gender and addiction issues, and our speaker will be another internationally renowned figure in social development sector, Regina Matson, a General Secretary of World Federation Against Drugs. Hope to catch up with you all. That as well.
Now, I take the opportunity to express our profound gratitude to Billy and Diana for their presence at Kickstart, the launchpad for SOWI. Billy, thank you so much for your openness and patience with your wonderful sharing of ideas with us. We were really thrilled when we heard that you agreed to speak with us. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend time with us. Diana, thank you for the trust and confidence in us. You were as excited as we were, and that was such an encouragement.
We would like to thank iSCAN and Fourth Way Foundation for providing us with this opportunity to have a platform where we can freely and honestly express our views and glean from the experts across the globe on a worldview. We would like to thank the team at the Fourth Way Foundation of Shalini, Amala, and Darshan for orienting us and looking forward for your continued support. And last but not least, I'd like to thank our contemporaries, the young present today. Thanks for making this a success with your presence. We sincerely hope you found this value in this engagement as much as we found. Hope to catch up with you for the next webinar. Until then, stay safe and good night.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Billy.
Which is gives us energy to have the work.